Hello and welcome as we have now completed the 23rd day of June 2019. In fact, I don't often put the time on here, but there's 42 seconds to go at my end until midnight occurs. New Week's Eve? No, that doesn't make any sense. All right, 10,656 is the price of Bitcoin. All bets trades of the like within each his own risk and their own reward. I'm going to go over Bitcoin. I'm going to talk about getting into ratio trading, how you start it. I added another cross, so I'll explain how I did it. It's really simple. And I'll go over it in the simple of terms. All right. This has been a phenomenal run so far, to say the least. When we see an end to this trend, time only tell the rate of these trend lines. I can't even I can tell without even looking at it. Two things. If I connect this low in here, the area between the March end of March, start of April before this breakout, within this level in here, from this low to this low in here, that it's not hitting this low and it's already breaking it large as it is. In fact, we're already coming up to a trend line that's breaking up towards here. It's had a phenomenal run from the June lows where price was 7,600 change. Now it's 10,600 change. That's a plus 3,000. And for a 50% move, well, you need a little more than that. That's almost a 50-cent move just from this level here, and also the fact from the 3200 level, it has now done better than a 3x, working on a 4x move from the 3100 lows at the end of last year. And on the other longer term time frame, I'm going to switch this up to Bitstamp now, as they have longer data, and I can draw on this without losing those Fibonacci lines. And there's some stuff in here where I drew on this before, so I'm just going to remove that so I can do stuff like that on this without losing the lines. Obviously, well extended from this, and it's week 18, that is. The run has just been spectacular. One good green candle up, and then this one here will count as four in a row. That is spectacular. And this is like the only red candle there really is. And even in that it's just as part of the sideways correctionary move from this high. And now a span of these two corrections thus far. We are now starting a new week, so we don't know if there'll be a third one coming in. It could very easily be better than we've seen before. We're coming off of 17 and a half, 17 and a half, and what isn't it? It's 20.7. So, yeah, 17 and a half is on the top, and if I put the next one, it's on the left hand side, and it says 20.7%. So two gains of a very high percentage, and even before we had 20%, 17%. Those seem to be the standard. This was 26%. We could be in line for a 40% move. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if it is 15,000, because if we're going to break past these levels that are coming up in here, we're supposed to stop going up at some point. And when you're just well extended like this, it's going to happen, but you could be in for some wild moves. Also, when you were looking for key tops, you're gonna have to find. I don't know how you're gonna do it, but look for volume, and when volume gets really, really big, that's one of the key things I'll be looking for. But one of the things I notice, if there's rallies going on and I don't see the volume to areas where I expect at the higher points, then I'm going to assume that the rally is going to keep going until I start seeing it. Again, all sell-offs are guilty until proven innocent, but in saying that, there's got a long ways to go until saying that for that to be the case. The 18 average of lows right now, as we start this week off on the weekly, is at 6,836. Of course, first we're looking at the highs. That's in at 8,052. And I'm always going to be looking at stuff like Fibonacci. Okay, if we're going to have a type of correction, what's the first place for any type of deep correction now with the extent of this gain is at 23.6%. And if it gets higher than that, I'm going to be saying the 15% level. But to calculate where that is, and I mean, these numbers will just marginally keep going up as new highs come in. But the high right now is 11,248 on the round. So I'm going to put that in my calculator. And if you want to know how to get this, search money charts Fibonacci calculator. I did a video last year or a while ago. This calculator hasn't changed the code for it, and you should be able to find it that way. It's doing high divided by low to the root of the Fibonacci levels, multiply the low, and it doesn't matter what if you put high or low in first. It checks in the code to see which number is higher than the other. All right then. So the low is in here at 31.22. I should have these memorized. I mean, if I remember, I memorized the silver prices way back when, but $8.46 low silver price and $49.81 or $49.81 was its highs. Okay. So we're looking at the 76.4 and then breaking that would be 61.8. 76.4 is 83.12 and now the six key levels is the 68. Now does 5,000 have any significance? 5,100? The answer is yes. Because usually with key Fibonacci numbers, the numbers just happen to align to key spots. So 5,100 is a key spot. And then 68, I mean, most certainly 68, even though it wasn't resistance on the way up. It was a big level here and it was a break off level of support. And even if it wasn't, it was a key level. It was supposed to find resistance and it didn't. And of course, move to next level successfully happened. So Fibonacci obeyed, I guess you could say, what it's supposed to do. And then the level now at 80 or at the 76.4, the 83.12. And this number will, of course, marginally keep going up when new highs come in. Well, with an 83.12 and viewing the 4-hour term time frame, what do we see at 83.12? Well, we see this area of resistance in here. This was the resistance, and it was. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, well, it means 76. Everything up to this area justifies, but 80. If it were to start, if this is a top and we don't go higher from where we are, it breaks down. That would be my next target level for where we go down to, and then going up. This thing is in just in a phenomenal situation right now. Okay, so then let me just take a quick look at the short-term time frame to see how we stand coming into the session as price action with an attempt to regain this bullish momentum obviously has failed. Now the question is, are we going to have a failed move, fast move, or is it going to be correctionary attempt and possible reattempt to break out later? This is now 4 consecutive periods, just going sideways like this. Now we'll see what happens, but the uh, the price has got to do something. And again, like I mentioned, I've already given you my targets on the way down. We are definitely having a strong support area. We're at the upper end area because there's been higher lows. We have this at 10.25, and then we have here at 10.38, then again at 10 almost 10.5, and even just now at 10.57. So we're just developing this range and breaking down any of these three numbers are in wild card scenario to keep the sideways movement down. But after that, there's before the 8,300, maybe we might find a little bit of support in this key low 9,000 up to 93 if again it's going to do that and breaking out above resistance like 13, 14, 12, 22, 47 or 250,000. And I'm sort of realistically sarcastic when I say that because when people ask me about my price objectives, which is Litecoin to 5 digits and Bitcoin to greater than a quarter million, and how long it's going to take, my answer is most likely anywhere between 6 to 72 months. And that's a very, very long, long range. And I wouldn't count too much for it to be on I would count on it to be many months away from either the lower or that higher number, meaning 10 to 60. But it's so hard to determine the whole time tell because when these things go, they can go. And I know, and I realize that if this thing goes monthly term time frame as it's playing out, it's an interesting situation. Point the key high, key low, and amongst this point, the correctionary phase. This was its correctionary phase, everything until previous high, and then uncharted new territory is what occurred. And it did so at a very amazing rate of ascent. And then the correction, key high again, key low. So now, again, what I'm going to do the same thing as I do in here. Everything until previous high is correctionary phase. And, oh my God, did I say 6 months? I guess I did. I'm going to change it to 4. 3.5. Okay, so what we have is back to retracement level. Now, last time retracement level took a long time. It never really got going until about October 2015. It never left it until, well, it never really left it until here in May of 2017. So it was almost out of 2 years of having the correctionary mode come into play. And after that, well, if it was like May when it left it, that means that was the last 8 months of the year. And that was it because it topped in December. Not even. So little months, 8 months of having uncharted territories, going into deeper waters, waters it has never touched before, all that kind of stuff. Playing a video game, seeing a new level you've never ever seen before. Sort of like when back for people my age who remember games like Super Mario Brothers or anything where you go through levels and final bosses. When you're playing a game for the first time, it's awesome. You go to a level for the first time, and uh, then again when you do a new one, it's just another way of I look at it. But when you go to new levels, having fast moves can happen. Now this is a lot different because we're making a fast move to previous level already, and we're almost there. And in a situation of breaking out above this, if we're not going to find resistance because you're not resisting the lows, not resisting the highs, you have this move back to previous high. That's the now what situation I've talked about. I don't like about what we're going to do because usually what's going to happen here is one, it might not even be bullish, it could be bearish. That's one thing you got to keep in mind because you're at a high level. Secondly, on a bullish level, coming back is most certainly something it can do. And it can just stick around in this area through time. And I say that in a sense of, oh, I want to sell here to buy back, and then you can do it. And you can wait around for the next 6 to 8 months and notice that the price action never dips below, say, 12 or 13,000 or some whatever number from its 20,000 high. And it just stays in a range. And you're looking to buy back at 10 or 8 or 6 or something, and it just never does go back. That stuff like that. But you also know in this now what situation that it's got the potential to do something like that so damn fast. So that's why I'm taking back that 6 months to like 3.5 because you never know what fundamental news comes down, especially if something happens with Deutsche Bank and it does something to just bring something like I mean it could be crazy if it happens, but it's Bitcoin and you know how many times when you're walking around streets do you have any type of physical exposure to Bitcoin merchants showing signs that they accept it, just even talking about it, all this type of everyday conversation. And it's not like I'm not really out there seeing much myself, so I really can't give a good definitive answer or anything of the polar opposite, not even close to a good example. But from what I do see, it's just not out there, especially when you talk to your everyday regular people that you just happen to know or randomly come across and you get an idea of their if they even happen to know about Bitcoin, especially if you go around and you wear a Litecoin shirt all day and no, in a mall or walking or whatever, nobody even says anything. Of course, there's people that would know that's not going to say anything. Of course, you just don't talk to a random stranger and stuff like that. But I, I, I do see the early adoption phase very much still in place, and the FOMO levels could really make things get to an extreme portion. And based on my preference of the matter, I would rather closer to 24 months than 4 months to get to those levels. But I say this all the time. I'm going to say it again. The market's going to do what the market's going to do, and I'm only going to adjust to the situation. Only price pays, and I'll trade accordingly. Now on to the ratio trading. I'm going to go through a few steps that I did today and deciding, okay, you know what? I have a decent amount of Bitcoin that I want to turn into altcoins, and I took maybe close to 3% of my Bitcoin, not about that, maybe 2.9, close to. Let me just redo the math again. No, it's even less than that because Bitcoin was 111. So yeah, it was supposed to say 2.5 even. It wasn't much. Anyway, I took that and I sent it to Binance because I want to start trading, just add another coins together. And it was definitely going to be with Theta. I knew that. So once it came in, I bought 50% worth Theta. It's just now what I'm going to cross Theta with. One of the things I look at is the fees to send coins off the exchange. And I made this a while back. But this lists all the coins on Binance that I found and how much the fees were. And on the bottom end of this list, gas and Neo are nothing. So it's really cool to send Neo off the exchange and it's zero. And to take it off, I put on the Atomic wallet. It's nothing. It's no cost. Just as long as you have gas on your Atomic wallet, it works. That's just it. You don't even need to have really much at all. I think I got like 5 cents worth on there. It's kind of fun, kind of cool. Theta's sick as well as far as how cheap it is, but I added waves, which works out to close like a penny for like 2 transactions to get off of the exchange. It's kind of cheap. It's actually cheaper than Theta, which is that's now down to 1.2 cents, 1.3 cents, costing zero point 0.1. I like the idea of, well, I'll get to that as far as the trading is concerned. But as far as here in this case, I ended up buying just the small amount of waves because minimum bet is 0.001, so I buy just a little more than that. And then I withdrew waves to the atomic wallet, and I only did a portion of it. After all, if it doesn't work, I can at least sell the rest of it on the market. And then it got there, it was fine, okay. Then I withdrew the waves to Binance. It's not fast. It's not slow though. It's like Ethereum Classic. And that's 15 minutes. Maybe it's no, maybe it's more like Litecoin maybe. So it's about 10 15 minutes. I think Ethereum Classic might be 20, 25. It's not too bad either. And I might be overdoing it a little bit on both sides. And you know what? It was pretty fast because I remember it was at a time frame. I'm like, okay, do I send it now because I got to go for a bit? I'm thinking, no, I've got like 15 minutes. And then I was able to get all my steps done. I'm like, okay, passes the test. It might have been like 7 or 8 or 9 minutes. But it was fast enough. Even if it was 15 minutes, it was good. So then I bought 100% of my Bitcoin left, which works out to 50% of my deposit worth of waves. I then divide the theta price by the waves price. So when you get into a ratio, the easiest thing is half into one and half into the other, and you start from there. And then as far as your open ratio, well, then what was the price of the two when you got in at? Okay, and if you just happen to have two coins right now, you can just say, okay, what's the price now? Okay, I want to start trading. I already own these two coins. Well, just divide the price right now. That's your start price, something like that. And I've done that before with coins because I already owned them, and that's how I would do it. So then I withdrew my waves to my Atomic wallet, and I withdrew my Theta to my Theta online wallet. They both have arrived successfully. I've always had my coins arrive to me when I've sent them to the correct address. I've had a couple times I did send to the incorrect one, and well, I got once I didn't get them back. A couple times I did, and then from that point on, let the market do what it does. So now when it's time to trade, okay, I see the ratio go. So say for whatever coin, if a ratio of something happens to be, well, in this case for me, my open ratio is in at 18.21. Right now it's at 18.31. So if it, say, happens to go up to the amount that I'm looking for, and everyone's different for each one. Maybe some people are looking for 5%, 6% moves, or 9, or 10, or 20, or 30, or 60. Each one is different, and you're trading. If you're more of a short-term trader like me, you can go for the small moves. And if you're someone that just logs in 4 or 5 times or checks 4 or 5 times a week, maybe you'll look for 30% moves minimum. But if you got a market that's like, say, 450, like just at 4 to make the numbers easy, let's just assume it goes up to 5 now. It goes up 25%. Well, now in a situation and I always take I always want my ratio to be full digit numbers, unlike Bitcoin price, altcoins against Bitcoin. I like it like the stock market where everything's got a bigger number. It's like $4 a share, $20 a share, $200 a share, all that kind of stuff. I like my ratio numbers to not be under 1. So I take the highest number price and I'll divide it by the smallest. I'll get to points where numbers will cross, and I'll do whatever then. But until that point, say if something's at 4, it's a 25% move. That means that the coin that is worth more is gaining on the coin that is worth less. And in this case, the value right now of waves is higher than 4. So I would go to my wallet, I would take my waves, and I might take about 17, 18% of them here, and then send them over to Binance, and it'll take maybe 12 minutes or whatever it took, or 9 minutes. So they're there. Now I can sell it for Bitcoin. And that takes like 7, 10 seconds. And then now, it's but 5 seconds later, I'm now going to go to the theta box. I'm there. I started with 0 Bitcoin balance, or maybe 20 Satoshi or 100 Satoshi or something tiny. And then I'm going to buy the other coin, the theta in this example. And I do it, I buy it, now I can withdraw it. And I would send it, and it's all done. So you can look at it as an exchange is like a store. And when you need to go to the store to do business, like always, you need to bring money with you. And they got something to sell, and they whatever. They want their money. And so you're making a trade, so you send the money to the store, to the exchange, and you go ahead and do your shopping, your business that you need to do, and then you leave, and you take the money with you when you leave. So you can essentially always have a balance of pretty much 0 on there. Of course, if you're in Binance, you're going to want to have a little bit of Binance coin. And just having a little bit for trading, or having a bit for orders ready to go. There's a lot of it. Because one of the things I'm thinking about too is short-term plays where you, especially on the Binance exchange, and the Binance coin, or even the Ethereum exchange, or anything that would create any of those extra volatility flash type of buys and sells, especially sells, is, say, for example, I'm waiting for a market to go even a 6% move. So something's up 4.5% since then. Well, I'm going to take some of those coins and I'm going to sell it for a price maybe 5, 6, 7% larger against Binance coin. And then if someone hits it, then I can now trade the other thing against Binance coin. And another thing too, I'm on Binance as well. I don't like this. Their Litecoin Bitcoin exchange, there's only 2 decimals of Litecoin you can trade. You can't trade into the third or fourth one. And one way of getting around that on ratio trading I have seen, and I did this earlier and it worked well with the Theta market, is the Binance exchange, because there is more decimals on that one. So therefore, if say or it was a Tron one I did it on actually, it wasn't Theta, it was Tron I think. Whatever, it doesn't. It's all the same. There's so many that work, or it might have been. Might have been. Either way. You go on there whenever if that's the case, if I'm looking to buy Litecoin, I'm probably going to want to do it against Binance Coin as its mean to an end, meaning I'm going to sell my Tron or sell my Gold Chain, or I'm going to sell my Theta for Binance Coin. Then I'm going to buy Litecoin because then I can get my third decimal, whereas on the Bitcoin exchange I can't. Now, if I'm selling Bitcoin on the exchange, that's easy because Well, I can always deposit 2 decimals, so easy too there, and then I can always sell on the Bitcoin Litecoin exchange. But just something that I've thought as well going on. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. Hope that helps, and have yourself a great day. Bye bye.